Hey everybody, this is Jonathan from BroJamar Productions, and welcome to the inaugural first episode of whatever this show is called. Sorry, I actually don't have a title for this series yet, but I'm going to get to it. By the time it's uploaded, it will be here. But I haven't thought of it yet, so I haven't shot the intro yet, so I haven't done the preview video yet. I just wanted to go ahead and get the first actual thing out of the way, but don't worry, there will be a title. Anyway, this is the show where I look back on movies from my childhood and teenage years to see, do they still hold up? Are they still good? Are they even worse? Are they about the same? What's going on? Is anything different? I look at them with the eyes of an adult and somebody who has seen more movies and had their cinema knowledge expanded upon greatly. And out of all of the movies that we own, what was the first one that I chose to do my first review on? Well, what else? Short Circuit. And yes, by the way, this is Short Circuit on Steelbook. Yes, I have it on Steelbook, and it's beautiful, and you should all buy it too. Short Circuit. The 80s. What a great time. This movie came out in 1986. Ali Sheedy, Steve Guttenberg, French Stewart. All these amazing people are in it. And this is a movie that I remember fondly from childhood, but I really don't remember anything about it. And I think that that was part of the reason why it appealed to me to do this first, was because I have no real strong memories of this movie. It's just something that I remember and remember loving. I remember there was a robot in it, that Johnny Five is alive, number 5 is alive, that's pretty much it. I remember loving this movie for the simple fact that it was a robot. This was the 80s. Everything was either robots or aliens in the 80s. Sometimes the two of those mixed. But I remember liking it a lot. And it was actually kind of nice to look at it again, because it really was almost like watching this movie for the first time. Sitting down to watch it to do this review. There were little things about it that I remember that were flashing memories in my mind, but nothing really super concrete. And I guess the big question is, does it hold up? Yeah, it does. Hell yes, it does. It holds up amazingly. Yeah, it's still an 80s movie, and it's a very obvious 80s movie. There's a lot of 80s cliches in it, but it's a good story. I think it's a really solid story. I think it's a story that has it's a lot more of a deeper meaning than most people probably are really putting together. It very much is a movie about what does it mean to be alive. It's a robot that it's literally a robot that somehow overrides his own programming and is able to become alive. He decides not to do what he is programmed for, which is to be a military robot. There's a really great scene where he's speaking with Steve Guttenberg, who is his designer, and Steve Guttenberg is asking him, why did you override your programming? Why didn't you just do what you were told? And he said, because it's wrong. And he said, who told you that it was wrong? And he said, I told me. And it's just a really, really great moment where they're having this conversation for Steve Guttenberg to realize that he is alive, and to realize that he is knowing right from wrong and has built a moral code just on his own. look something up. There's a really great aspect of this movie that is about the design, not the design of the robots, but the intent behind the robots they built. They built 5 of them, and their intent is literally to be frontline in a war zone, to go in, and they have lasers. Of course, they have lasers because, again, this is the 80s, and everything had to have lasers. But their intent was to go in first and to use their lasers to take out trucks and tanks and things like that. And of course, this being the 80s, they actually talk about, you know, Russia rolling them down the streets of Moscow, taking out tanks, things like that. But I think it's really interesting that they have this whole idea that they're using, that they literally took over this project that Steve Gutenberg created. He created them to be really nothing more than just robots. He was just building robots, and the military came in and took it over. And I think that that was a really kind of a good message, especially in 1986, to actually have that message in there, that these are the kind of things that can happen with the military, especially during wartime. And I mean, the United States has proven that right. This is something that has been done. You know, they come in and they use companies that already have built things, and they use them for other purposes. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but there is kind of something wrong with it. But I don't want to get into that. But I thought it was a really neat. I thought it was a really cool message to put into a movie, especially that came out at the time that all this stuff was happening. And of course, G.W. Bailey is in this movie, who plays the head security guy, military personnel, whatever. They never really explicitly say. He's really the head of security for this company, for this robotics company, but it's kind of implied that he's also, that, you know, he's kind of the guy that the military he's like the military liaison or something between. He's very much a hard ass. He's kind of a dickweed that is in this movie, and G.W. Bailey does a great job of playing that. Austin Pendleton is in this. He's the head of the actual robotics company. This guy's amazing. He's funny, he's serious, he's everything that a character needs to be when he plays any character. He plays all range of everything that is needed in a short span. He's never really a main character. He's always an actor that's kind of a secondary character, but he always does just such an amazing job playing whatever character he is. And finally, Fisher Stevens. I know I said French Stewart earlier. I'm sorry, that was wrong. Fisher Stevens, who is a fantastic character actor, always hilarious. For some reason, he's playing somebody who is slightly Indian, even though he's not Indian. He just, I don't know if he just decided that he wanted to do this whole movie in a Indian accent, but not ever explicitly state that his character is Indian. I don't know. These are things that make no sense to me, but it was there, and he's hilarious. I mean, hilarious. And finally, one of my favorite parts of the movie. Well, let me explain something to you. The 80s had a lot of really cute things. The 80s was a decade that was stuffed to the brim with cuteness. And like I said before, the 80s was all about robots and aliens, and sometimes those two mixed together. We had E.T., adorable. We had the aliens / robots from Batteries Not Included. Adorable. This movie gave us two things. two of, in my opinion, the cutest things to come out of the 80s. Johnny Five, the robot, the main robot in this, and Ali Sheedy. Ali Sheedy is, her character is great in this. Her acting is, I don't know about that. It's not bad, but it's just, it's weird. It's kind of stilted. But part of that might have been her character. Her character was kind of a, woo. She thought that Johnny Five was an alien at first. Again, sometimes those two things mix together. But it's Ali Sheedy in the height of the 80s. She's adorable in this movie. I love it. Overall, is this still a good movie? Yes, it is. This is still a fantastic movie. I mean, just truly. It's got some really great messages in it. It has some kind of adult stuff in it that I did, again, I don't really remember this movie as a kid that much, but some stuff in there I was like, oh, well, I mean, this is a PG movie. But it's a PG movie from the 80s. They got away with a lot more back then. And it's just, I feel like it's got some really good themes in it, even though some of the character work out, like between Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy and all that, is kind of stilted, and it's very 80s. It very much moves fast. It's almost like they were trying to shoehorn a love story in between the two of them that felt kind of unnecessary in a lot of ways. Pretty much every way. It felt unnecessary, but it was there. So what can you say? I mean, it was there. It was something that happened. So you can't fault it. Every movie had to have a love story, but the main focus of this movie is Johnny Five, is the robot. And the voice work was fantastic, and it was actually functional. They actually built this robot. I mean, they actually built him. They built five of them, but they really focused on this main one robot, and it was like $1.6 million or something like that to build him in 1986 money. And I mean, you could tell that they spent the money, because he actually did almost everything that he does in the movie. He actually physically does it. It's actually a fully remote control motorized robot. And I'm sorry, I forgot his name, so I'm Tim Blaney is the guy who does the voice for him, and he is a voice worker, and he is also a puppet master. He also did Frank the Pug in the Men in Black movies. He just does such a great job doing the voice, adding the inflection when needed, especially considering that this is the voice of a robot who has learned everything that he knows from reading a set of dictionaries and watching TV for like 12 hours. That's pretty much how he knows everything that he knows. And he just does such a great job that you really get invested in the character. You get invested in this character that is a robot. It's amazing. And you feel for him. You want him to succeed. You want him to get away. You get scared when he's getting shot at. And he's really the main focus of the movie. Everything else is kind of side, tertiary. It's this robot's development. It's him realizing that he's alive. He builds a moral code. He builds his own way of thinking about things. And it's just great. I mean, it really is just great. I highly recommend, if you have not seen this movie in a while, check it out. It's worth watching again. You're going to pick up on some stuff that you probably didn't before, that you probably didn't pick up on the first time. And holds up amazingly. Even better than I remember. I'm so glad I got a chance to watch this again. And this is definitely going to be one of those movies that I'm going to pop in and just randomly watch at times, because it's just that kind of a movie. It's funny when it needs to be, it's serious when it needs to be, and you can kind of turn your brain off and watch it. So, yeah. Um, I hope that was good. I am building a list of movies to do for this new series. Again, whatever it's called, it will have a title soon. And I hope that this went well. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have a movie that you can think of that you maybe haven't seen in a while, give me a comment. Let me know. Maybe it'll be one that'll fit in my criteria. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm building a slow list, and I'm just going to go whenever I think of something like, oh, I haven't seen that movie in a while. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like, and keep an eye out for the next one. It'll probably be coming in the next couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.